In this lesson, you will learn briefly what a noun clause is, what it does, and where it goes. We'll get into the details in other lessons. But first, it's important that we review what the job of a noun phrase is within a sentence. Noun phrases could serve as the subject of a sentence, just like my cat does here in this sentence. They could also be direct objects, just like tuna is here in this sentence. Or perhaps they could be an indirect object, just like my cat is here in this sentence. Or they could be an object of a preposition, just like tuna is in this example. Finally, noun phrases could be subject complements, just like a funny cat is here in this sentence. So these are all the jobs that a noun performs in a sentence. Remember, a noun could also be replaced by a pronoun, and a pronoun can do these jobs too. It's important to remember this before talking about noun clauses, because a noun clause can also perform all of these jobs in a sentence. As you've learned before, a clause contains a subject and a verb. In this case, a noun clause contains a subject and a verb and is performing the job of a noun. Let's take a look at a few examples so I can show you what I mean. Okay, here are 3 simple sentences. In the first sentence, what job does a secret perform? That's right. It is an object. And in the second sentence, the pronoun it performs which job? In this case, it's the subject. Finally, it in the last sentence comes after of, which means it's the object of a preposition. Okay. And in the second sentence, the pronoun it performs which job? In this case, it's the subject. Finally, it in the last sentence comes after of, which means it's the object of a preposition. Okay, now I'm going to show you how we can replace nouns and pronouns with noun clauses that perform the same functions. I want to tell you what I saw. Okay, you know in the original sentence, I want to tell you a secret. A secret is a noun phrase that performs the job of an object. In the sentence, I want to tell you what I saw is also acting as an object. In this case, what I saw is a noun clause because it performs the job of a noun and contains a subject and a verb. because this clause is not the main clause of the sentence, we know that it is a dependent clause. Therefore, all noun clauses are dependent clauses. Let's look at two more examples. What I saw was in the water. Okay, now clause, what I saw, is acting as the subject of the sentence. Notice that it receives a singular verb form, was. What I saw was in the water. And because of what I saw, I was so shocked that I nearly drowned. Shh. Now the noun clause, what I saw, is acting as the subject of the sentence. Notice that it receives a singular verb form, was. What I saw was in the water. Of an object of a preposition. Sometimes a simple noun or pronoun isn't enough to help us communicate what we want to say. Hey, that was a noun clause. That's why we use noun clauses. All right. Here's a few more examples. No one will believe me when I tell them what I saw. What I saw had a tail, scales, and was an excellent swimmer. What I saw was neither a fish nor a human. This is what I saw. A mermaid. Okay, let's quickly review the basics of noun clauses. A noun clause is a type of dependent clause, which means it has a subject and a verb, and it cannot stand alone. And because it is a noun clause, it does the job of a noun. Noun clauses can begin with these words.
Tips for how to successfully complete the course's independent practice and quizzes. And as a result, you'll be more successful using the grammar in your everyday life. In the Introduction to Noun Clauses video, Emily told you that a noun clause can be a subject, as in this sentence, what I saw had a tail. Here we have a verb, and the noun clause is the subject of that verb. We know this is a noun clause because we can put a pronoun like it in its place, and it makes sense. What I saw had a tail and it had a tail mean the same thing. So that tells us that this clause is doing the job of a noun. A direct object comes after the verb like this. I couldn't believe what I saw. Here's the verb, and if you ask the question, what? Couldn't believe what? Your answer is the direct object. We know this is a noun clause because if we put the pronoun it in its place, the sentence makes sense. An indirect object also comes after a verb like this. I told whoever was listening a secret. A secret is the direct object, and if you ask, told a secret to whom? The answer is the indirect object. We know this is a noun clause and not some other type of clause because if we put a pronoun like you in its place, it makes sense. The object of a preposition comes after a preposition like this. I told a secret to whomever was listening. Here's the preposition to, and the noun clause is the object of that preposition, to. We know it's a noun clause because if we put the pronoun you in its place, it makes sense. A subject complement comes after a linking verb, like this. My secret was that I saw a mermaid. What are linking verbs? The most common ones are the be verbs, am, is, are, was, and were, or other verbs like become. If the noun clause follows a linking verb, it's considered a subject complement because it renames the subject. That I saw a mermaid is just a different way to say my secret. We can also replace the noun clause with a pronoun, that, and it makes sense. Okay, here are those noun clauses again. Remember, they're all noun clauses, not phrases, because they all have a subject and a verb. Also, all of these noun clauses start with a marker, like what, whoever, whomever, or that, though many noun clauses do not have these markers. Here is a list of markers that you saw in Emily's. What, whoever, whomever, or that, though many noun clauses do not have these markers. Here is a list of markers that you saw in Emily's video. Finally, we know these are noun clauses because we can replace them with pronouns and they still make sense, like this. Other pronouns you can use to replace noun clauses include she, her, he, him, it, we, us, they, and them, among others. So, how can you identify a noun clause in a sentence? First, look for a marker, though not all noun clauses have one. Next, look for a group of words with a subject and a verb. Finally, replace the clause with a pronoun, and if it makes sense, it's probably a noun clause. Let's practice. Here's a sentence. I don't know where she saw the mermaid. Where's the noun clause? First, look for a marker. Here's one. Where? Next, look for the subject and verb. Here. Finally, replace the clause with a pronoun. Does it work? If you say, I don't know it, the grammar makes sense, so we know that this is a noun clause. Check. Let's try another one. It was a mermaid that had long, beautiful hair. First, look for the marker. Okay, here's that. Next, look for a subject and verb in the clause. Here, that is the subject and had is the verb. Finally, replace the clause with a pronoun. Here's the clause. Let's replace it. It was a mermaid, it? Wait, that doesn't make sense. How about it was a mermaid that? No, that doesn't make sense either. It was a mermaid she? No, that's definitely not right. Do you know why we can't replace the clause with a pronoun? It's because it isn't a noun clause. It's an adjective clause. It describes the noun mermaid. Adjective clauses come after nouns, but noun clauses don't. Noun clauses take the place of nouns. Now you're ready to practice on your own. Good luck!
Noun clauses that begin with a question word. We can use question words like who, what, when, where, why, how, and which to ask questions in English. But we can also use them followed by a subject and a verb to make a noun clause. Let's take a look at a quick example with where. Hey, Helen, sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
Do you know where I put my pencil? I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I know where you put your pencil.
Really? You heard, do you know where I put my pencil? And, yeah, I know where you put your pencil. Where I put my pencil and where you put your pencil are both examples of noun clauses beginning with a question word. Let's look at some more examples that will help us learn how we can make these noun clauses.
My phone's ringing. My hands are all greasy. Emily, can you answer my phone?
Got it. Hello? This is Emily. Jake's hands are greasy. Yeah, just a minute. It's your cousin Bob. He wants to know where you are.
You know where I am.
Right. She's at work. In the first sentence, the noun clause is where you are. Can you find the noun clause in the second sentence? Good. Where I am. In both of these sentences, the noun clause is functioning as an object of the verb know. Based on what Emily reported to Jake, what question do you think Bob must have asked? He probably asked, where is she? Notice the difference between the question word order, which is verb subject, and the noun clause word order, which is subject, verb. In a noun clause, we do not use question word order. This is very important because it's a common error that learners of English make. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Hold on. He would like to know what you're doing.
What I'm doing is none of his business.
What she's doing is
No.
I mean, I don't know what she's doing right now. Can you find the noun clauses? Good. In the first sentence, the noun clause is doing the job of an object. And in the second sentence, you can see it is acting as a subject. Notice that the verb is singular. A noun clause as